Oh, you are a real Iron Man. Oh, my goodness, I'm sorry. I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is the regular Richfield Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting. First item on the agenda is roll call. Here. Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Okay, next item is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then we are having an end-of-year HRA review. And
Madam Chair,
yes, sir.
can I interrupt for a second?
Go ahead.
I think you might have skipped over item number 1.
Oh, I
and
missed the minutes. I'm sorry. Thank you for noticing that. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the work session on January 22nd, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Now, would you care to tell us about, who's going to tell us about the end of the year?
Sure. Well, as she has, I think, for 3 or 4 years in a row now, Karen Barton, Assistant Director and Manager of the Housing and Redevelopment Division,
You should be.
has put together a year-end review to give to you. And it's a great presentation, and we will put it somewhere that you can access it in the future because it's got a lot of good facts that you might want to, if people ask you about what an HRA does, you might want to refer back to. So with that, I hand it over to Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. As John mentioned, the HRA obviously runs a lot of terrific programs, programs that are designed to improve and diversify the city's housing stock, offer assistance to low-income homeowners, and support development and redevelopment in the city. So we've accomplished a lot in the last year, and just wanted to run through real quick some of the programs and highlights from those programs. The Richfield Rediscovered program was established in 1990, and this program facilitates the construction of new single-family owner-occupied housing through either a $50,000 redevelopment credit granted to a qualifying project or through the sale of buildable lots acquired and cleared by the HRA. Since the program's inception, we've had 115 new homes built through the program, and 4 are currently under construction. Last year in 2013, there were 7 applications approved. 6 homes were completed. 5 are currently under construction and or have been approved. And we have 1 lot remaining for sale, and that's at 6525 15th. Anyone's interested?
Can I interrupt?
Sure. Are you referring to the new home lots?
Yeah, they could be used for either.
Right, and until we've made that formal, I'm just gonna go through what we have currently on the books.
This is from
Old
2013.
Oh. But yes, there are additional new home lots, and we'll get to that in the presentation. Those obviously can be for Richfield Rediscovered. That's great. I'm gonna highlight several of the properties that were built through Richfield Rediscovered in 2013. This one, 7220 Russell, is 2,000 square feet finished space, has 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2-car garage, and value of $420,000, and is LEED certified. This is the interior of that lovely home.
Yeah.
This home at 7544 2nd Avenue is just under 2,000 square feet, has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2-car garage, and an end value just under.
Can you pull the mic closer, because I think you're cutting out
Sure.
a little bit.
This one's at 7229 First Avenue, just under 3,000 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, 2-car garage, and value of $356,000. This one at 6438 Bloomington, just under 2,000 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2-car garage, and value of $250,000. 6500 Logan, 2,600 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2-car garage, and value $325,000. 6825 Grand, 1,600 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2-car attached garage, and value $245,000. This one is currently under construction at 7537 DuPont Avenue. It's going to be 3,200 square feet when completed, 3 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, 2-car garage, anticipated end value of $350,000. This one is also under construction at 6808 14th Avenue. It's going to be approximately 2,500 square feet, have 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, 2-car garage, estimated end value of $315,000. This one is also under construction, just barely. And it's, when completed, will be just under 2,000 square feet, have 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, and a 2-car garage with an estimated end value of $300,000. This one is also under construction at 7437 Pillsbury. This is just under 3,000 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 3-car attached garage, estimated end value of $370,000. This one is under construction at 7035 Fifth, just under 2,000 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, 2-car garage, estimated value of $300,000. This one has been approved. We'll get under construction this spring at 7215 Logan Avenue. It's just over 2,000 square feet. We'll have 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 3-car attached garage, and an estimated end value of $350,000. The new home program was established by the HRA in 1974 to provide home ownership opportunities to lower income households. Since 1990, over 30 new homes have been built through this program. Over the last several years, the HRA in acquiring lots has land banked those lots due to the housing market collapse and the availability of naturally occurring affordable homes on the market. The market is starting to turn around now, so we are getting more interest from nonprofits in building affordable homes on these lots. There are 9 vacant lots available for construction. As was mentioned, these could be either for a new home or for Richfield Rediscovered, depending on funding source. And 2 of those lots, the HRA did agree to sell to Habitat for Humanity at the HRA meeting last month. The HRA's Transformation Home Loan Program is a loan program that provides interest-free loans of up to 15% of project costs for large-scale remodeling projects. Those are projects valued at $50,000 or more. The maximum loan amount is $25,000, and there's no interest, no monthly payments, and the loan is forgiven after 30 years. Last year in 2013, we originated 4 transformation loans totaling just over $60,000. The total combined investment into Richfield housing stock represented in that is $414,000. Since the program's inception in 1993, there's been a total of 165 loans made, representing over $2 million in loans and leveraging over $13 million in construction project costs. The average loan amount is just over $12,000. A couple examples of transformation loans, what has happened with those. This is a home at 6401 12th, and they did a kitchen expansion and remodel. This is also 6401 12th. This is 7139 Logan. They did a significant remodeling project on this home. The family invested almost $170,000 into the remodeling project and did receive the maximum loan amount from the HRA of $25,000. It's a family of 5 that lives in this home, and they have 3 daughters, and we're living with 1 bathroom.
I remember talking.
This is the interior of that home. Foreclosures, just an update, there were 74 foreclosures in 2013. That represents a 43% decrease from 2012. Foreclosures did peak back in 2008 with 230 in the city of Richfield. And since the beginning of 2008, there's been 931 foreclosures in the city of Richfield. This map shows you where the foreclosures have occurred throughout the city. You can see that they're pretty spread out, although they are have the highest concentration on the east side of the city. In response to the foreclosure crisis, the HRA began a program called the Foreclosure Purchase Incentive Program back in 2009. This program was designed to provide incentive to people to purchase a foreclosed and vacant property to return them back to owner occupancy. The incentive program offered either a $10,000 purchase assistance or $15,000 rehab assistance. The loan was in the form of a deferred no interest loan that was forgiven after 5 years. And the owner did have to reside in the property it had. Last year, in 2013, there were 4 loans made through the program. Since the program's inception, there's been 25 loans and totaling $320,000. The program was discontinued at the end of 2013 due to the improvement in the housing market. This is an example of one of the rehab assistance loans through the FTIP program. This was at 2415 65th and a half. The city also received funding back in 2009 through the federal government to help address the foreclosures. And since the city had a significant number of them, the city did receive just over $1 million in funding to purchase and rehab foreclosed properties and then resell them to households at or below 120% area median income. 4 houses were purchased and rehabbed and sold in 2010 and 11. A 5th house was purchased, rehabbed, and sold in 2012. And then 2 homes have been purchased and rehabbed in 2013. This is one of the homes that was purchased and rehabbed and sold in 2013. The house, once it was completed, was on the market for only 11 days.
Wow.
Had 2 offers on it for full price of $195,000. This house was also purchased and rehabbed in 2013. The rehab is almost complete, not quite, and it's not on the market yet, but will be soon. It's at 7324 17th Avenue South, and imagine it will probably go quickly as well. The HRA also offers the Community Fix-Up Fund loan program in partnership with Minnesota Housing and the Greater Metropolitan Housing Corporation. The city received a grant from Minnesota Housing, and the HRA provides matching funds to write down the interest rate on the loans issued to 3%. They would normally be at 5 or 6%. This loan program is targeted at households earning less than $95,000 a year. In 2012 and 2013, there were 19 loans originated through this program for Richfield. Loans ranged in size from $5,000 to $35,000. There was $459,000 in total investment. The HRA's contribution to that was just under $12,000. So we got a lot for our 12. The Minnesota Housing Grant did expire at the end of 2013, but we are in the process of applying for additional funding to keep it going because there is a high demand for this here in Richfield. We also receive funding through the Community Development Block Grant Program. We receive approximately $200,000 annually, a little less than that. Funding is allocated to the Deferred Housing Rehab Loan Program, public service funding, and then also this year to a Penn Avenue Facade Improvement Program, which is a new program this year. The Deferred Loan Program is a program that's available to low-income homeowners. It has no interest, no payment. It's a 30-year loan. 19 loans are in process through the program right now. 3 loans have been completed last year, and there's 5 homeowners that are currently on the waiting list. The public services that were funded last year through Community Development Block Grant include HOME, which is a senior homeowner services program, HomeLine, which provides renter legal aid, and then Community Action Partnership for Suburban Hennepin, or also known as CAPSH, and they provide homeowner assistance in a variety of referrals and assistance with new home buying and things like that. Home Energy Squad was a new program in 2013. The HRA partnered with the Center for Energy and Environment, CenterPoint Energy, and Excel Energy to offer energy visits to households for a flat fee of $50. The HRA also received a grant from the Great Plains Institute to partner with NEDA, the Neighborhood Development Alliance, to develop a Latino outreach program for the program. Home visits through this program include installation of energy-saving products at no charge, and this can be setback thermostats, energy-efficient light bulbs, door suites, etc. The homeowners also get a home energy report. They are given a list of vetted installation contractors if that's required or needed. Information, and they're also providing information on available financing and rebates. Last year, 243 Richfield households participated in the program, and on average, each household saved $110. Additional services that the HRA offers: the Home Remodeling Consultation Program, which offers remodeling resource information and assistance to homeowners. Our Architectural Consultation Program, which offers a 2-hour consultation with a licensed architect. The cost of that consultation is normally $250, but the HRA subsidizes it, so the homeowners only pay $25. This has been a really terrific program in conjunction with our Transformation Home Loan and with the Richfield Rediscovered. Really helped make a difference in the aesthetics on the homes. We also had a booth at the 2013 Remodeling Expo, held a realtor workshop to tell the realtors all the great things about Richfield, how to spread the word, and then ongoing management of 2 HRA-owned rental properties. The HRA has a significant loan portfolio, obviously, and last year we processed 23 loan subordinations. We received 12 loan repayments, 2 loan settlements. We lost 1 loan to foreclosure, and 4 apartment remodeling loans matured and were. The HRA also contracts with the Housing Resource Center through the Greater Metropolitan Housing Corporation. The Housing Resource Center offers consultation services, emergency assistance, first-time homebuyer assistance for education, and access to a whole variety of housing rehab loan programs. Their 61 Richfield residents received services through the Housing Resource Center in 2013, and they originated 6 of the Minnesota Housing Fix-Up Fund loans. Staff also worked with Shadid Marketing to develop a marketing plan for all of these wonderful programs that the HRA has to get the word out to everyone. Last year, there were 2 focus groups that were held with Richfield homeowners to get feedback on their perceptions and experiences and understanding of the programs, how best that we can start this marketing and reach different populations in Richfield. This year going forward, we'll be developing that marketing plan and strategies and beginning to implement it as well. In February of last year, the HRA appointed a 17-member task force to create a housing visioning statement for the city. The task force developed that statement and presented it to the HRA and City Council in June. The task force has recently begun meeting again, or a subset of that task force, to develop housing policy recommendations to the HRA and City Council. You'll be seeing the results of that coming forward in the next few months. The Kids at Home program is a program that provides a shallow rent assistance to Richfield households that have kids in the Richfield schools. It helps to give them tools for financial independence and housing stability through not only the rent subsidy, but working with social services to help them get through some of the obstacles that they may be facing. In last year, 30 families were served through this program. 315 households received rental assistance through the Richfield Public Housing Authority in 2013 in the form of housing vouchers. Through the Section 8 rental assistance, a tenant only has to pay 30% of their gross monthly income for rent. This is available to extremely low-income folks, and there's a significant list that only usually gets opened once every 5 years. Household assistance.
And I'll just interrupt there. People may remember this, but the last time we opened up the Section 8 waiting list, I believe, was 2 years ago. And we held the, based on our experience, we held the opening of the list at Vets Park. And for the spaces, we had a lot of the 315 spaces, we had around 10,000 people show up.
Yes, sir.
So that gives you an indication of the need that's out there.
Yeah.
Just wanted to touch on a few of the commercial developments that happened in 2013, including Menard, Lindale Station, Lindale Gardens. Update you on those. Menards demolished their existing outdated one-story building along with a lovely restaurant on the corner of 77th and Nicollet in 2012. Very
Fond memories.
Yes. They completed construction of a new 2-story, 200,000 square foot building in early 2013. And it's, I'm guessing you've all been there, but it's really bad.
Very nice.
Yes. I've helped make it busy.
Lindale Station, this property is at the corner of 66th and Lindale, former Kmart property. The property was purchased back in November 2011 by Wellington Management. In phase 1, they built the LA Fitness on this property. This is phase 2, 10,000 square foot retail center. It is currently leasing up on the end. Firehouse Subs is in there right now, and they're open. They're wonderful. I haven't had a chance to get over there yet, but Von Hansen's Meats is also scheduled to open this spring there, and a beauty salon is also slated.
Karen, does that leave any other space available or not?
Yes, there is some additional space. And there is a third phase scheduled to go on the corner of 66th and Lindale, and that would be a restaurant / retail building, about 8,500 square.
Any update on that?
No, they've talked to us and have some folks interested, but hadn't been able to name names yet of anyone find about it. But they're working on it. Lindale Gardens, which we're all very familiar with, that's former Lindale Garden Center. They sold a portion of their property last year to Lake Winds Co-op grocery store. They're also going to be constructing a 10,000 square foot retail liner on the site, 150 give or take units of rental, and including a bunch of quasi-public amenities part of the project. This is the site plan, current site plan. The project has received over $3.5 million in public grants and loans, in addition to over $3 million pledged in tax increment financing through the HRA. There's a lot of backing behind this. Lakewind's Grocery, Co-op Grocery, this is a picture of it under construction. They are scheduled to open in June of this year, barring any further delays. They were scheduled to open, the weather not cooperating. Other notable mentions, O'Reilly Auto Parts opened on 66th Street, Lemaitrie's is under construction, Richfield Blooming Honda is under construction, and over in Cedar Point, Papa Murphy's, Noodles, and Any Fitness opened last month. Redevelopment activity, the Cedar Point 2 housing redevelopment area. The HRA partnered with Public Works to acquire 14 homes along 17th Avenue to complete the Richfield Parkway along that area, and also to help with the redevelopment of those 2 blocks, future redevelopment. We had the sale of the Candlewood Outlot to Lemaitrie's. And then the HRA began establishment of a TIF district on the former city garage site for the demolition of the subbuildings on the site, and also acquired a property at 7600 Pillsbury, which is adjacent to the former city. And that's it in a nutshell. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have one, Karen, and then we'll take Doris's. You mentioned that you had had some discussions with residents, marketing group kinds of things. Have you ever gotten back to us with any of that information, or?
I don't
I
recall.
don't think we've
if-
heard about it.
No.
I thought a memo was put together, but
No.
offhand I can't remember.
No, my recollection is that the gentleman that did the focus groups presented them to staff, and our response was, gee, this is something that our HRA would want to hear, and I'm not sure if it went any further than that, so we'll double check on that.
Okay, okay, good to hear.
Doris?
I remembered who I had referred to you, and I think it would be an idea to, perhaps for the HRA to start creating a database, if it already hasn't been done by somebody else, that we can gather. The gentleman that I met and whom I referred to you works to create, he's with Metro Blooms, he's a board member there, and they work to do rainwater gardens, etc. And I talked with him about the attempts that we've made to improve the Penn Avenue streetscapes. And he just says, yep, it really needs some work. And I told him how we have incentives for the property owners to improve their streetscapes, and it has not been received as enthusiastically as we might have hoped for. And he had some ideas how to move that forward, et cetera. It might be a good idea to get in touch with Metro Blooms and see what they have to say about consulting. It's a nonprofit organization. It's got a pretty long history and has worked very extensively in St. Louis Park and in Minneapolis.
Okay. Comments or questions?
Right.
John, and then
Well, I was going to say, the only thing I would add, maybe to Karen's urine review, kind of in terms of big picture stuff, I think that, and this is just an observation, it might not be accurate, but I think oftentimes when people of means have issues, they know to go to policymakers, they know to go to city council people or HRA members. The people that maybe are struggling a little bit, they tend to come to staff. And my experience has been, in this past year, I've heard more stories by far than in any year before about people that were kind of on the edge of whatever, they were on the edge of being middle class and are now slipping back, or they were on the edge of making it and now they're slipping back. So a lot of people that were really straddling the border between where they don't want to be and where they do want to be are slipping back. And I just want to make you aware that I am hearing a lot of sad stories in Richfield, and I'm hoping that we can continue to find ways of helping people that are in dire situations as well.
Okay. David?
Karen, on the transformation loans and some of the other loans that we've been a party to where it's forgiven after a certain number of years, is it prorated when it's, or is it all or none?
All or none.
We had another program where the HRA was buying homes, and I think you said one of them is still available for sale. Buying them and then fixing them up?
Yes.
Okay, and did that turn out to be a viable, from a business standpoint, enterprise?
There was a significant amount of subsidy put into all of the homes.
But that was the plan?
Yes,
And
that's part of the requirements with the federal funding.
yep, it was
to make
federal
them
subsidy, not our subsidy.
Yeah, it was $1 million in federal.
The-
And
the-
we recycled it, as much as we could on the sale.
The programs that you described in your presentation, are they all delineated in some manner on the website?
They
Not-
are.
Not in the same way, but, these are available type of thing.
Yes, yes.
Here's what they are, and here's the names, and
Absolutely.
I've been up there, and looked in. It's
Anyone
actually pretty good.
else? Okay, well, thank you, Karen. Appreciate the information. Oh, and we're going through, holy cow. Okay,
For the consent calendar.
all right. So next item is the consent calendar. Mr. Stark.
The consent calendar contains several separate items which are acted upon by the HRA in one motion. Once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual items and recommended actions have also been approved, and no further HRA action would be necessary. Any HRA commissioner may request that an item be removed from the consent calendar for further discussion. All items on tonight's consent calendar are recommended for approval, and tonight we have 3 items. Item number A is consideration of the approval of a revision to the Richfield Rediscovered Lot Sale and Credit Program Guidelines to make noise attenuation construction standards consistent with city ordinance. Item B, consideration of the approval of the revision to the bylaws of the HRA of Richfield. And item C is consideration of the approval of the consent to transfer property in the urban village development and authorize the execution of an estoppel letter substantially in the form attached to the report. And that concludes tonight's consent calendar.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second?
A second.
All right, any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
It's a lot to read. I did some selective reading, particularly in the areas that were pointed out as being for revision. And so we're on the Richfield Rediscovered Procedures Guideline item on page 8, item 9. And it talks there, all new homes should be built to provide high-quality sound insulation. Recommendations for sound insulation measures may be provided on a site-by-site basis. All construction must conform to, and this was how it was redacted, conform to sound attenuation building standards as required by zoning ordinance section 541.4.19 for properties located within the 2007 60-62 DNL contour and 2007 63 or greater DNL contours. And you attached a map that related to those contours. And I understand that this is a revision from a previous version, but frankly, I think we should approve this. But I think we have to revisit this after it has been approved sometime later in 2014, because I do believe that a new contour has been established that includes a part of Richfield that is to the west of Richfield Lake. And I got something from Mac through the email about a month ago on that. And this doesn't seem to be reflected in this map or in this language.
Yep. Madam Chair and
Yes, Mr. Stark.
Commissioners. Kind of the genesis of this is what's referred to as the consent decree between the city of Richfield and the airport. I don't know if this is the right legal terminology, but in essence, it was a settlement. The city of Richfield and other bodies had entered into litigation against the Metropolitan Airports Commission with the construction of the new runway and changes to the runway. And the consent decree was agreed on by all parties to say that the airport would increase the areas in which they were doing sound insulation, would increase the funding. In exchange, the city essentially would put some limitations and caps on what we were seeking. And I believe that some of those limitations were that they were to be tied to a historic noise level rather than being revisited every year. I'm going to double check that, but that's what I believe to be the case. They also, part of it, and that's what specifically applies here, said we want to make sure that there aren't new homes being built in the area that don't meet
I
the
agree
sound
with that.
insulation requirements.
Yes.
And so what our changes are here, the city council made some changes to their ordinance to more accurately reflect what the consent decree required. And so this is just changing the HRA's language to be consistent with the city's. But I will double check on
Yeah,
that.
because I'm still being awoken, even with my new improved soundproof windows at 5:30 in the morning. So, and I'm sure that Commissioner Gotel has had a similar experience.
I hear them in the morning.
Yep.
Yes, I do.
Madam Chair, John, I asked that question of you some time ago, and you had looked it up at that time, and it's because it's locked into what they had at the time that they did that mandates what we do now despite the changes.
Okay.
I'm not
Any
giving
further
up.
discussion? I'll call the question on the consent calendar. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, Mr. Stark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item number 5 is the consideration of a resolution adopting a modification to the redevelopment plan for the Richfield redevelopment project area, establishing the 2014-1 tax increment financing district, AKA the city garage site therein, and adopting a tax increment financing plan therefore. Staff has recommended the creation of this TIF district on the 7600 block between Pleasant and Pillsbury Avenues, as well as the south portion of the former city garage site at 7700 Pillsbury Avenue. And there is a map of this. Actually, I think there are several maps of this in the attachment. The only privately owned property, which is a residential house located on the block, has been excluded from the proposed TIF district. The purpose of the TIF district would be to clear the site of vacant and substandard buildings owned by the city and HRA, which would be the former Gleason's Mortuary building and the former city garage buildings, and to prepare the site for redevelopment. On January 14th of this year, the Richfield City Council approved holding a public hearing next week, February 25th, 2014, for the consideration of establishing a TIF district for these properties. That action was the first taken by public bodies in Richfield relating to this establishment of a TIF district. Since that time, both the City Council and the HRA have passed resolutions approving the demolition of buildings and confirming that the buildings in the proposed TIF district are substandard, as well as adopting resolutions for the creation of an interfund loan for lending the TIF district funds to demolish the buildings ahead of time. The Planning Commission also took action on January 27th with a finding that the proposed TIF plan to determine, and it did determine that the TIF plan is in compliance with the city's comprehensive plan. The TIF plan estimates the generation and use of up to $6,182,220 plus interest of tax increment, and that's on page 6.2 of the attached TIF plan. This is estimated to be the absolute maximum amount of TIF that could be generated on the site based on the kinds of uses that could go there. And we sized it out at its maximum number to give the HRA, the most flexibility in future actions related to the site. The TIF plan does not commit the HRA to pledge any of this TIF to a future developer of the site. In the future, the HRA could elect to enter into a redevelopment agreement with the developer that would possibly pledge a portion of the available TIF to the developer for qualified redevelopment costs. Right now, the only immediate costs associated with this proposed TIF district would be the pledge the use of TIF funds to reimburse the interfund loan from the city in an amount of up to $300,000 for environmental and demolition costs, plus using TIF funds to reimburse consulting, legal, and other administrative costs expended on creating the TIF district. So with that, I would take any questions you might have.
Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Just when I know that we took the residents out of there, are we fairly sure that there's no contamination in that household lot area?
We have not done a phase 1 on that particular lot. We've done phase 1s on all of the city-owned lots and phase 2 site assessment on at least one of the others. I would say that the site contamination is fairly minimal from what we can find.
Oh.
And I don't have any concerns from what I read in the phase 1s and phase 2 that there would have been any migration of contaminants onto that lot. The buildings themselves do have some contaminants as well, some asbestos containing materials and some lead and those kinds of things. But surprisingly, it's a fairly clean site.
Yeah, it's nice to hear.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
Say too, maybe we've addressed this in the past, I can't recall, but right now the only environmental remediation we're doing would be on the buildings themselves. The site, we would be trying to secure the site, probably fence it off for a number of reasons. And the environmental remediation of the soils and the site itself couldn't happen until the ultimate development were to occur, because you really solve the soils problem for what the use is. So you would correct to one level if it was a retail use or if it was a parking lot, and you'd correct to a different level if it was housing. And so it really makes the most sense to wait on doing anything with the soils themselves until the end use is done. For that reason too, I suspect we're going to leave the pavement, the parking lot, the asphalt as is. That in geologic terms, that acts as a confining layer. And so if there is any contamination in the soil, it keeps that contamination from migrating because the rainwater doesn't penetrate and flush that out.
I
Okay.
have another question. Reading through some of the financial figures, I was confused, I will admit it, and I'm trying to figure out what is the exact amount of money, as you mentioned, the maximum for tax increment that we can authorize for this.
Well, we have with us tonight Rebecca Kurtz from Ehlers & Associates, and just to make sure that her trip wasn't wasted, I'm going to have her address that.
Good evening, Rebecca Kurtz with Ehlers & Associates. What we are, again, as John mentioned, we've made estimates based on what the maximum might be. They're completely estimates since we don't have a developer lined up for it. But we've set the budget to allow for assuming future increment over the 26 years, if you went the full term of the district, to be roughly 9.4 million. With that, we have used a present value rate of 5.5%, So if you took that stream of 9.4 million, took it to the bank, or knew that that would be money coming in over the 26 years, assuming the bank would provide a loan of about $4 million, so a present value of $4 million. Also then with that, what that means annually is that we are expecting, or in this scenario, anticipating about $585,000 in annual increment.
Okay, that was where I was getting confused. All right, thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
I'll move the item.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, this is to approve the resolution adopting a modification to the redevelopment plan for the Richfield redevelopment project area, establishing 2014-1 tax increment financing district, which is currently located at the old city garage site. Therein, and adopting a tax increment financing plan, therefore, a lot of legalese in that one. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I don't think we'll see the buildings come down until the snow is gone. It just, it adds a lot of costs with the snow.
Yeah,
And aren't they piling snow in there?
yeah.
I believe they are on the
Yes,
city
they are.
garage lot, yeah.
They can have mine.
Yeah.
All of it.
We've all got piles, don't we?
Will that continue after they've taken the buildings down? Will they keep using that to pile up the snow?
Probably.
Okay.
There are city lots scattered throughout the city, and we find ways to need to pile snow on most of them.
Okay, next item is HRA discussion items.
I have a few.
All right, I
Madam
have at
Chair.
least one. Go ahead.
It has to do with our new bookkeeping. I had asked at one time about having the pages consecutively numbered on the page, which probably isn't necessary in the upper right-hand corner. It shows that there's 105 pages in this packet. But as a group, can we refer to that number for the page instead of 6-4 or 5-3, so, because we aren't lawyers and.
I think
Yeah.
that's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. I'm not sure that everything's gotten implemented, but it's a good idea.
Easier for printing, too.
Those of us that are HRA people, kind of figure out how to use this sort of. And we also get a notification that the of the council agendas. Could we get it in this form so that we can do it the way we're used to, so it has the bar on the left?
At home? At home?
Yeah.
You want to view it the same at home?
Right now, when you get this at home, it doesn't look like this,
Correct.
Well, no, the HRA does.
but the city
But
council.
if I go to the city council one,
Mhm.
then I get it in the same form that it's on the web, where, it's the Adobe file with just the pages, doesn't have the table of contents or whatever you want to call the stuff on the left that sort of helps move through it.
Yeah, Teresa and I will double check on that.
Actually, yeah, that's true. But, because we get to see all of it.
Mhm.
Then the third thing is and something I brought up 6-7 years ago. At the beginning of our meetings, we do a roll call. It was something that is done in the past. We're doing it now, and, if we're locked into that, then we'll do it in the future. But Richfield is a progressive city, and I don't see the need or the purpose of doing a roll call at the beginning.
Well, I can tell you with the planning commission, it does work differently. When where it says roll call, the chair, relies on the recording secretary to provide that. And at the planning commission, the person just says attendance is noted and leaves it at that. I'm not sure if there's anything in the bylaws that require us to do it by name. I don't think so. So, between Teresa and Nancy, I think they are primarily the people here. If I don't see why we couldn't just say attendance is noted.
I would certainly like to see that. The present system is reminiscent of my days in prison, where I had to identify myself, and I would prefer to forget my past.
Yeah, I'm assuming
Thanks for that
that's,
tidbit of information.
I'm assuming that's okay with everyone else.
Sure.
I'm fine with that. No problem.
It probably means we have to take Commissioner Gepner's mugshot down from the,
Yes, yeah,
from the internet.
probably.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else?
No, I'll come up with some more later
And
if given a chance.
I just made a comment, and just for everybody else's edification here, I'd asked John to check into the idea of, I know that they archive the packages, but we can't get to the archive of the packages, and I do refer back at times. And it'd be nice if we had access somehow to the archives of the packets, just to pull information back out, especially when we're in a long history of some kind of development or something, we want to look something up. It'd be nice to be able to go to the packets.
Yeah.
Okay,
And we could do that individually by taking, and copying the PDF file and
But I
then,
don't need all that on my computer.
So yeah, we'll check into that.
Especially since they're already doing it.
My guess is that it's there.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure we get you the right way to get there.
Yeah, so, yeah, with security now, I'm sure.
okay. I have one item which is probably more related to the city, but also to city council, but also to the HRA, and that is Bloomington has a travel demand management ordinance, a TDM ordinance for new developments, and they split, I believe it's at 300 parking stalls. There's different requirements for more than 300 parking stalls and fewer than 300 parking stalls, depending on the circumstances. And the idea behind it is to encourage new developers who come into the city to try and encourage alternative modes of transportation, provide bicycle parking, and accommodate to try and reduce congestion on the freeways. Best Buy had one when they moved in. They had to do that because it was such a large development. For a while, they actually employed a person for over a year trying to form carpools and come up with alternative ways to reduce the number of parking stalls that they needed and encourage employees to find alternate routes other than single-family or single-car drivers. So just something I'd like this group to think about, and the city council, I've mentioned it to the city manager as well.
Have you mentioned it to anybody in Public Works?
No, well, Steve, Mike Eastling and Steve.
I thought we had one.
We may. I guess I would like to know more about it
Yeah.
if we do. I know I know it's been brought forth. I'm not sure I don't know what the
I
numbers
believe
are.
when Best Buy came along,
Yeah.
in requiring them to produce a TDM, that we put it in the code to say that any, user that meets certain criteria would have to, but that's something I can check into.
Would you check on it and just find out what the criteria is, at what level a developer would have to do something? And that was my only thing that I wanted to talk about. Anybody else? If not, we will move on to the director's report.
I don't have a report per se, but I'm going to skip ahead to claims and payroll just to note that on page 6, you'll see a $41,000 payment to Hennepin County for tax increment. The reason for that is that the county, receives all the taxes, and then they farm out, they mail out checks to people that are supposed to receive monies, including tax increment financing districts and HRAs with TIF districts. And they determined that when they paid us in December, they overpaid us on one of our TIF districts by about $41,000. I think we noticed the problem before they did, and we held on to the money, and now they're asking for it back. So that's why you're seeing that there.
Well, thank you. I did have one other thing just to bring up under the HRA items, and that is just an announcement to the public who might be catching this. If you are available and are interested, there will be a Sweet Streets discussion about the planned pavement overlay and proposed 4 to 3 lane conversion of Penn Avenue and Nicollet Avenue. And that will be held Wednesday, February 19th, which is tomorrow evening, 4:30 to 6:30. There's no particular presentations, so it's an open house. You can come and go as you wish. And it will be held in City Hall at the Bartholomew Room behind the council chambers. So if you're interested, come and check it out. Find out what's happening in Richfield.
And then the other thing I would add is next month's HRA meeting on March 17th, we are asking Maxfield Associates to come in and give you a presentation on the senior housing needs assessment that they did. We've got a draft of that. We've asked the Housing Task Force to take a look at that. They've met once and looked at it. They'll be meeting again before March 17th. We're going to get you a copy after they've given us their second set of comments, because it does take a little bit of reading. So we're going to try to get you a copy as much in advance as possible. It's a little dry, so I'm warning you.
How many pages is it?
It's about 45.
Graphs and things.
As long as it's not 245.
Yeah. But we'll be discussing that at next month's meeting.
And John, was that the basis of the study session that we didn't have today?
I believe so.
So will that study session, that'll be next month
That'll
probably?
be next month. And I don't know how many people have St. Patrick's Day festivities. You'll have to delay them a little while.
Oh, man.
Okay, we're not providing green beer either, right? Okay.
Just a follow-up question on that. So will we also be looking at, since we did that kind of a study for seniors, will we be looking at for millennials or other people or other housing that we might need?
We can look at really anything you'd like to.
Because that's only one section of the needs.
Right. You know, I think the thinking is with senior housing, a lot of times that's there are rules and requirements attached to that with financing and with occupancy. With non-senior housing, non-age restricted housing, generally that's just referred to as market rate housing. That you try to provide a gamut of housing types and
Yeah.
sizes.
But there's still
To
need.
meet
I
all-
mean, there's still need, and there's need in
So,
other
if that's
age
something
groups.
you'd like to look at, we can certainly try to figure out a way to.
Because, I mean, look at the new apartments that went up, and across from Lindo Garden, they were filled before they were even totally all done. So there is a need for those as well. Yeah, that's a pretty big driver.
John, does that mean that next month is a 6 o'clock start?
I don't know the exact time that it's slated for, if it's 6:15 or 6 or 5:45. We'll let you know as soon as possible.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Next item, claims and payroll.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Last item is adjournment. So thank you very much. We had a relatively short meeting.